light isn't just the thing we use to expose the image. When controlled properly, light can create emotions in ways that resonate strongly with viewers.
How lighting carries emotions depends on its brightness, the contrast, and even which direction it's coming from. But the light you choose should complement the story, not detract from what you're trying to say.
Lighting isn't an exact science. In many ways, it's an art.
So photography itself is really the art of controlling light.
It depends on your subject and what information you want to convey. But the light you choose brings meaning to the image.
Let's see some examples, starting with something moody, dark lighting. This lighting refers to an effect created by contrast in light and shadow. In art, the technique is called chiaroscuro, which is an Italian term meaning light dark. It's a technique used by artists for centuries.
Chiaroscuro applies contrast in light to create the illusion of 3 dimensions, giving subjects volume and modeling. Artists like Caravaggio and Leonardo da Vinci are famous for their use of chiaroscuro.
In modern cinema, chiaroscuro is used to great effect in horror films. And this lighting also defines a whole genre of filmmaking called film noir.
Dark light or low-key light creates a sense of mystery and suspense. It heightens the tension and fear. Subjects appear ominous and somber. Some examples of dark lighting include the silhouette, which backlights the subject in front of a bright background.
A counterpoint to dark light is bright light, otherwise known as high-key lighting. If you're trying to capture something that feels happy or optimistic, then make the picture bright and cheerful. That's why situation comedies often use high-key lighting.
High-key lighting also describes low-contrast lighting, where the brightest part of the image and the darkest part look fairly even, without any hard shadows. You can also get this effect on overcast days because sunlight passing through the clouds gets diffused or softened. Low contrast lighting is relatively uniform, feeling more subdued, quiet, and soft.
But when you have low-key lighting, then the lighting is described as high contrast. It's less even. The contrast between the brightest parts of the image and the darkest parts is higher.
We should emphasize that high contrast lighting occurs when the bright and dark portions of an image are right next to each other, where the transition between light and dark is sharp.
This sharp transition can make the image look even more dramatic and punchy, and it's why high contrast images tend to grab our attention the most.
Although the brightness and contrast affects the mood of the image, the light direction itself also has an impact.
In dark lighting, the subject is dark because the lighting is coming from behind them. Obviously, the scene will look different if the lighting comes from the front, the side, directly overhead, and even from under.
You probably know underlighting as a kid when you went out trick-or-treating.
The approach to lighting direction depends on the subject of your story.
Overhead lighting might not produce the most flattering result. It can often lead to dark and distracting shadows, namely raccoon eyes and shadow beards. You can get some pretty harsh shadows when the lighting is direct, such as during midday when the sun is high in the sky.
Frontal lighting is usually best. This lighting comes from behind the camera. Frontal lighting can evenly illuminate your subject, however it tends to flatten the image, giving little sense of volume or depth because there's minimal or no shadow cast on the face. To get a better sense of 3 dimensions, you can try side lighting. The light is placed roughly 90 degrees to the camera. Only one side of the subject is lit and the other side is entirely in shadow. Side lighting produces some high contrast lighting with a more defined line that separates the bright from the dark areas.
Try out different lights to see how they work.
But make sure that the lighting you choose complements the subject and enhances your visual.